think for people to really get like this energy like has an intelligence and like and it's already ours, it's already available to us. It's like we don't, it's not a matter of like learning some techniques or practices.
Yeah.
It's like listening to what's true, like like really being curious about like what is desire, what is arousal, what is that like spark, that inspiration,
Yeah. It's
and being
right
really
here.
curious about it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, letting it unfold the way that it wants to unfold.
Yeah.
You know, as we bring awareness to it.
Yeah. It's an area of the body that is like craving awakening and nourishment, like from the inside out, from the outside in, like this a magical energy that we can tap into.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the shame and is so strong around sexuality, you know, the way that it's like the what you're supposed to be aroused by and not supposed to be aroused by, and the way that you're supposed to,
Yeah.
the way that it's supposed to express and not express. So you know, there's like we're supposed to perform sexuality in this particular way,
Right.
like perfectly, and then
Right.
we're not supposed to have any of the other experiences we actually have.
Right.
So it's a really it's so heavily regulated by the sort of cultural norms and like and you know really intensely shaming.
Yeah. The way that you and I similarly work with things is the real life, like the sessional space where like those energies are currently being evoked, and then you can real time explore it and nourish it and welcome it and open to it and see where it wants to open in the body and the being and the relational space. And it's so like in most spirituality, it's if you're a spiritual teacher, if you're a spirit, you're supposed to stay 10 million feet away from that. And I just think it's so beautiful that there's another possibility, you know, which isn't sleeping with your students and isn't, you know, shunning this completely. It's like there has to be a way to explore these energies healthfully and, you know, wake ourselves up in all directions.
Yeah. Yeah, because like you were saying, the traditions have been like we don't sexuality is like so far from spirituality and should never come into that
Yeah.
domain at all. So it's so people don't feel like that part of their experience
Yeah.
is welcome in satsang, is welcome
Yeah.
in a spiritual container, or
Yeah.
is part of spiritual growth at all. But of
Yeah.
course, it's like it's so vital. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like the life
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really hard for people to find spaces that are really like open to the exploration of those energies and the embrace of those energies. They're good energies. They're like they're
Yeah.
supposed to be here. Like they
Yes.
have a real wisdom to them.
Yes.
They're inspiring. It's like the life
Yes.
force that like makes babies and like
Yeah.
you know make it's like that creative spark
Yeah.
that like I
Yeah.
want to engage. I want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like if people are open there, they're often more connected to ground. They're more connected to stability.
Yeah.
To the shame burns out of that lower chakra area, and you're able to stand on your own 2 feet. You're able to have confidence. You're able to move forward in your life, have direction, know what you want and what you don't want,
Right.
and not have a whole area that you like try to control, push down, and ignore, or whatever the thing is, so that you can control your life. And it's like you're stunted. You're a stunted being.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy that we're inviting people to discern what's true for them and like what's the what's the real yes and a real no and like listen to the guidance and so on, but like to not experience their sexuality or like, to only experience it in a very like prescribed way.
Yeah.
It's like this is like a huge part of like the enjoyment of life, of the vitality, of the juice of it.
Yeah.
It's like it's an essential component of that, the full integration, like you say, like moving through the world like upright and integrated and whole.
Yeah.
You know, when we're all contorted and like, well, I'm not supposed to, and this is supposed to be this way or that way, and it's like, and now what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
It's like the whole base is like not there.
Yeah, absolutely. And similarly, when you work with people, there's a trust and there's a deepening and there's a relational healing possibility. There's a physical healing possibility. There's a nervous system. It's like, what better place to resource than like the pleasure center, than the erotic, than the sensual, just even like enjoying the touch of, you know, your own arm. Like, you know, it's just, it's time to come back, to welcome that aspect back in.
Yeah, I mean, like the pleasure of being, the pleasure of having a body,
Yeah.
you know, of incarnating.
Yeah.
And it's like, we were so shamed around self-pleasure. Self-pleasure's bad,
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not allowed. You're only allowed to experience that kind of pleasure with
Yeah,
another
yeah.
person in a
Right.
particular kind of relationship.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like, we're so shut down. It's like, this is
Yeah.
the juice of life.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
It feels like we can become more close to nature in a way too. And I'm always like really wanting our culture to remember our place in the sea, in the land, in the forest, and it's waking everything up so that we can be humans again, like all the way human, without this thing with the conditioning governing in the way we are, and have the actual truth of our being and the movement freely of energy. When just as when you admit that you feel pain here, or that you feel closed here, it's like it starts to soften, it starts to open, it starts to wake up, it starts to have you start to have access to different dimensions of life that were closed before. So
yeah, it's like really listening to like what you really enjoy, what really lights you up, what really matters to you, rather than like again, like the sort of the ideas we have about how we're supposed to perform here and what a good person's supposed to do, or a spiritual person's supposed to do. And it's somebody else's idea. It's not tapping the wisdom that's actually inside of us, that's wanting to manifest through us.
Yes. It's secondary regurgitated garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the way, it's like we're simulating like what we think we're supposed, like it's not, it's like when it comes from like, yes, I'm here for this, it's like totally different, completely different experience.
Yeah. That we can have like attraction and explore attraction without going towards the object of attraction. That attraction is ours. That sensual, that arousal, or that erotic flow that's coming through when you see someone. It's like we immediately often go, oh my gosh, what is this? Or it's so beautiful, it's so yours, it takes you somewhere, it takes you on a journey. It's like, oh, like this is mine. Like you can enjoy yourself. You don't have to hide from your own light.
We get to enjoy our experience, and it's not, we're not compelled by any of it. It's like we get to be whole, we get to have all of it, and then move in the light of our total experience. Rather than like, oh my God, I don't want to have sex with that person, I shouldn't feel that attraction, and it's like, no, you totally get to feel it, and you're totally free to move or not move.
Absolutely. It's when things are in hiding that we have the problems that we have in culture, like and now all of the spiritual teachers that are sleeping with their students. It's like, wow, like, and I mean unhealthfully sleeping with their students, like they're sleeping with several way younger than them, power over, dynamic, non-communicative, strange, twisted, weird stuff that's happened, I think, because people aren't taught a context. It's just out of the conversation in a lot of traditions for you to figure out on your own. It's like, of course you do that, but like that's not for here. And how could that be true? Like I explore with awakening of my feet, of my legs, of my guts, of my heart, of my head. So I'm just gonna eliminate this area. Like it's like no, of course not.
And it's driven into the dark. It's like it's always secret, and it's like there's no possibility, there's no space for like really discussing like what's true here. Because there's so much denial. And it's like a lot of the spiritual teachers are like, well, I'm transcended sexuality or whatever. So it's like, and then that is like trying to find a way to act anyway.
And it is true that you can burn up a lot of sexual contortion through just meditating and through moving energy. Like it does hit that area. It's like we do area around the grief in our hearts. We do area around the control in our solar plexus, or the self-consciousness. So why wouldn't we do work on the erotic, the sensual, and sexual, and why wouldn't we? So yeah, it's really important, and it's alive, and it's some of my favorite work that I support people with. It's like oh my gosh, like that's coming alive, and when that comes online, it's like the energy can flow right up the whole being and right down into the ground. It's like that's the missing connective. It's incredible. So.
Yeah, and I think also for me, one of the things that really appeals about it is that there's so little space for people there. It's like almost anything else you can bring to satsang. You know that like there's a space, but it's like, well, no, you're not really supposed to talk about sex. Like that's not.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's so vital, and people are so traumatized around it, and so shamed.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like, and so eager to like have consciousness brought to it.
Yes, absolutely.
And yet there's so little space for it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't want to deal with it because they know it's like a field of so much trauma and shame. It's just like, no.
Yeah. And what I'm wondering is what happens when an entire sangha wakes up there. You know, what does that look like? Like that's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like when people can now not only have space held by a teacher but also by the community. It's like, oh yeah, that can be a conversation without somebody bringing it up and then everybody feeling like they were sexually assaulted because or sexually harassed by just somebody talking or bringing it into the space. If we've all had spaces to explore that and to work out the places where we feel so ashamed or feel so like a kink in there, or even trauma that's occurred, it's like a mutual digesting and saying like, oh yeah, I have trouble there too, or if that could be in the conversation and flow evenly. It's so good.
And I love the way you said like we don't know what that looks like. It's like that, because I think that's really important. Like we don't know, like there's so many so often we go into the spiritual inquiry like thinking we know the end point. Well, I'm supposed to become a tantric master, or I'm supposed to become celibate, or what, like whatever it is, or I'm supposed to like find my goddess or god, or and it's like to really like not know like what's true there, what's true for me, and like this energy as it moves through in this particular situation that I find myself in, and what's true for the sangha. What is it like when we all wake up? Like we have no idea how this energy wants to move if people are awake and conscious to it.
Right.
I mean, it's like we're in the discovery of it. Like we're letting it reveal itself, reveal its truth to us.
Right. And I think some traditions, like Osho's tradition, they've had tons of eroticism in their group, and it's like a different cultural context of the 60s where everybody was like exploring free love, and it's like, oh, we're in a different time now. What does this look like? What does it look like when you don't have to sleep with every single person you find attraction to? Is there another way to like explore it that doesn't cause so much like emotional wreckage oftentimes with people, and sexually transmitted diseases or whatever, the whole thing, I don't know. But there's not that that's bad even to like be more promiscuous. It's just that is there a way that these energies are actually calling for something else, that they're calling for freedom in the body and freedom to move about and be yourself. It's like it's so healthy to drop all the ideologies about what free love or celibacy or any of the tantric union or to really discover like what's true for me, and like and like this energy, what does it want? Like what's it really trying to manifest here? So good. Well, thank you, that was fun. I'm glad we got to go in there. It's so good. Thank you. Lovely to explore with you.